Very, very excited to have none other than Madhur with us tonight for this very short, brief session. And I think many of you know Madhur already, but he's one of the smartest people that I personally know, with a background in engineering from IIT. He was a topper there and a post-graduation from Princeton University. But I think what makes most of us respect Madhur so much is the fact that he is able to take very medical and scientific concepts and put it in layman language so we all can understand it very simple. And many of you who are interested later to hear more from Madhur, you can follow him here on his YouTube channel. You have it right there, Health Sachet. More on this later. But today we are asking Madhur if he can come on here on the panel. And what I'm going to ask him to do, he will cover one herb which is very, very well known in India, Ashwagandha. And we have asked him to cover it in 6-7 minutes. So you're going to get a lot of information in the next 6 to 7 minutes. So we are great having you with us today, Madhur, and over to you.
Good evening, everyone. So let me get my slides so I can explain you this little better. So everyone, pretty much, if you have lived in India for the last 5, 10, 15 years, you have heard about Ashwagandha as a very popular herb that has been used by people for normal use, by doctors. And it's a very well-known herb, but it has more than 2,500 years of history. And it has been very well tested for so many generations. Your grandfather and his grandfather have used this in his life. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to break my talk into 2 parts. Initially, I'll explain you how this herb has been advised in Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an ancient Indian science. And there I'll not go into much of medical use, but I'll say what has been advised, what has the Ashwagandha use have been advised as per Ayurveda, some of the uses. And then I'll do something very interesting, because a lot of people have this attitude that, well, some people, not all, obviously many of you like Ayurvedic use. Some people have this attitude that, hey, it's old science, we need new research, modern technology. And so I'm going to present to you a lot of scientific research that has been done on Ashwagandha in the last 20 years. So we'll see both of these. Depending on what you like, you can consider using it. Let me first start with the Ayurvedic part. So what does Ayurvedic literature say? I'll just keep it very simple. There are 6-7 uses that Ayurveda has suggested for this. And one, it's advised as a tonic for young children especially, and overall for everyone. Second, it is very well known as a stimulant. Stimulant as in, there's a Sanskrit word for it called sphurti or vigor. So it's a product that is given for that kind of energy kind of usage. It's also known as aphrodisiac, so it has to do with sexual function and help with that. Another use of this in Ayurveda is it's a diuretic. That means it gets rid of water, extra water from your body through urine. Sometimes it can be used for blood pressure and stuff like that. Anti-helminthic means it deworms the body. Intestine, many times you have some worms, and it's sort of used for removing that. And astringent is it's sort of an application. Suppose you apply it on the skin, it will help you have tighter, better skin instead of saggy skin. So it's an astringent. You probably know about it for cosmetic use and all also. So these are some of the Ayurvedic usages, and I'm not going to give any medical advice on this. If you want to use it for any medical purposes, talk to your Ayurvedic doctor. Now there you have to be very careful, because these are, if you are going to use it for Ayurvedic usages, then you should talk to an Ayurvedic doctor. You can't talk to an allopathic doctor. It's like asking an advice on law to an engineer. You will never get the right advice. And so you have to do your work. Ask an Ayurvedic doctor if you want any of these usage. Now I'll go to what is modern research saying about this, because this is very important. What has been, and I've taken papers from last 20 years, and I'm just going to give you a nutshell summary. But pay good attention, you will find something very interesting. You will see that a lot of conditions this addresses, they're all interconnected. It does A, and A has an effect on B, and B helps in C. So if you get A right, B also falls in place, C also falls in place. And that's the beauty of this herb. It doesn't try to solve a condition, it tries to solve the underlying problem, and it will be clear as I show you. One thing it's useful for is it reduces stress and anxiety. It's meant for reducing anxiety. It has excellent use on it. And there is paper on it. And obviously, I'm just flashing this to tell you that I'm not cooking this from my head. These are medical literature papers. Many of them are what we call peer-reviewed articles. And it has effects similar to what is called anti-anxiety medicines, imipramine and lorazepam. These are anti-anxiety medicines prescribed by doctors, and it has been found that ashwagandha has similar effect to them, but those drugs have side effects, and this one doesn't have. So you can, you do your homework on this. I'm not advising you, if you are on any medications, stop that and take this. I'm not saying that. You do your homework, but I'm just presenting you what is known to science. So you are not there saying, hey, this is an ancient drug. It's as modern as you can think of, as long as you pay attention. It reduces a stress hormone called cortisol, and that has phenomenal effect. Cortisol is secreted by your body when you are under stress. These days, everyone is under stress, some kind of, whether you'll get infected kind of stress, whether your job will stay kind of stress, whether all sorts of stress, financial stress. And so many a times your body secretes a hormone called cortisol. And it's okay to have it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But if you have it for 6 months, it's going to cause a lot of problems. One of the things it'll do is it'll take your blood sugar haywire. It'll go into, all sorts of ways. Blood sugar control goes down when cortisol is exceedingly there in the body. You will get belly fat storage. Some of you have put on weight and you think that last 6 months, oh, I've been sitting at home, so I put on weight. Maybe it's because you are under a lot of stress. And what this product does is just lowers cortisol. So when you have that stress hormone coming, not only it reduces stress, it reduces your belly fat storage and blood sugar comes in control. Now see how this whole thing is getting connected. It improves stamina. And it has been found that improves if you are an endurance, healthy, athletic athlete, it will help improve your endurance also. So it is not only just reducing stress, it's making your body more energetic. And so that's one more use of it. It's found to increase muscle strength. And how does it do it? By regulating your body's hormones. It has done already for cortisol. Similarly, it does it for another hormone called DHEA. Let's not go into it. But what it does, it helps you put on muscle mass, the good kind of weight, the healthy weight. It gives you strength by increasing the DHEA levels. And therefore, it has also been found that it can increase longevity. The muscle atrophy problems go away. And so you can also call it anti-aging kind of effect to some extent. But yes, so it boosts testosterone. The way it's removing certain hormones, reducing certain hormones and improving certain hormones, testosterone is also a hormone, male hormone, and it improves that. And so male infertility often has some low testosterone problem that gets reduced and improved because of taking ashwagandha. It's also known as a sexual stimulant. So it's a natural aphrodisiac. And so, testosterone is a hormonal problem with infertility. And sort of erectile dysfunction is a physical problem with, so to say, male infertility. It helps you in that also. Now, another thing it helps is for female infertility. And there is research done on that because it's regulating certain female hormones also. So when your body's hormones are all over the place, sometimes because of stress, sometimes because of other reasons, this beautiful product helps you get them in control. And so it improves female infertility. There's data on that also. Now, just pay good attention. What did it do? It reduced your cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So if it reduces your stress hormones, invariably it increases the levels of something called immunoglobulins. Immunoglobulins help in immunity building. So by reducing stress hormones, your immunity starts going up. It suppresses something called inflammatory cytokines. There are certain chemicals in the body which do signaling mechanism. They tell your liver about your muscle injury, stuff like that. They're called cytokines. And these could be inflammatory, that is negative, bad kind of cytokines. They're okay for when you get injury, but for a long period, if they stay, they're bad. So this ashwagandha suppresses them. So automatically your immunity improves. These days, everybody is worried about immunity. So it's a beautiful product that boosts your immunity without having to do anything, along with so many other benefits. And when it does that, I mean, of course, I should have shown you this paper, but mind you, this paper is done in rat models. So it's not like this particular, so these are not humans who tested. Previous papers were all tested on humans. So wherever it's tested on non-humans, I'm just showing this because that's fair enough on my part to do. It reduces inflammation. You increase immunity and you are reducing cytokines. So you are reducing inflammation, and it reduces a marker called C-reactive protein. C-reactive protein is another, you can measure it in your blood test, and it has been found to have larger correlation with the possibility of heart attack than even high cholesterol. And so it lowers C-reactive protein, because C-reactive protein, if it's high, it tells you there's a lot of inflammation in your body. And so if you are under a lot of stress, your inflammation is high and your immunity is low, all of these go hand in hand. So ashwagandha reduces this inflammation. So your C-reactive protein. It's also found that LDL cholesterol and triglycerides could be lowered with ashwagandha. There's a paper on that. Now this again was done for mouse model, but they're saying because these are very similar to human beings, so they say if this there, it might be possible to see that kind of effect in human beings also. And now you see hormones are getting controlled, so it's an endocrine effect. Now insulin is another hormone, so this ashwagandha is going to suppress this stress hormone, so your inflammation reduces. Insulin resistance, which is your body's resistance to insulin, that means your body's resistance to sugar control, starts reducing. So you start getting better sugar control. And there's a paper on this. Of course, this was done they found a lot of these ashwagandha used with children, with rats. They found reducing loss of sugar control. So a beautiful, simple way of doing that. Helps in sugar control. This is for human beings. They found this in some human beings. See the last line on the screen? 6 mild NIDDM subjects, this and that. So let's not go into it. Now, another hormone is what we call thyroid hormones. Many people, especially women, have this problem of low thyroid function. And they put on weight, and therefore it's called hypothyroidism. Hypo means low. So low thyroid is a problem, and they have T4 levels falling down, and another hormone called TSH. Now you may not know it, but if you are a lady with hypothyroidism problem, you know what is T3 and T4 and TSH. These are typically the markers. The way a heart patient knows about what is cholesterol, LDL, HDL, a lady with thyroid problem will know what is T3, T4, TSH. So these levels are low. With ashwagandha, these levels are boosted, increased, and that's the paper is saying. But this paper is specifically of what we call subclinical patient. Means these patients have low thyroid hormones, but they are not showing any symptoms of thyroid yet. They are not put on weight yet. So I'm just trying to tell you, because I'm not giving you medical treatment. I'm obviously telling you that all this is possible with a simple herb, which is so very well known in our ancient science. And because it's controlling all this, it also helps in depression. And it has been found, of course, this is a mouse model. They found it helps in stabilizing your mood. So anxiety is controlled, brain function is controlled, mood gets stabilized. It improves memory, because it's the same mechanism. You see all these interconnected parts in the body. It's regulating things which start going out. So it's repairing so many dysfunctional units of your body to put them together. It helps in what is called mild cognitive impairment. Means somebody who has a little loss of memory. Mild cognitive impairment means loss of memory. Somebody has that. It improves his short-term and long-term memory for that person. Ashwagandha. And they have also found in rat models, of course, and that's why I've shown that picture of rat on the side, they reduce the plaque buildup and amyloid beta, which are actually what accumulate in your head when you get in your brain, when you get this condition called Alzheimer's. So with ashwagandha, plaque buildup is reversed, and this in rats. And so they are trying to see if this can help in human beings also. So it's a beautiful kind of medicine. Now these are some of the benefits. Now I think these are a lot of benefits to have for a simple medicine or herb that is available everywhere. Those of you who are pharmacologists or doctors, this is something called Tritapinoids, and I won't go into it, but it has many components: vithanolide A and vithaferin A and vithanones. These are all these components in ashwagandha. It's not a single thing in it. There are lots of healthy compounds which help in different aspects of this. And so I will probably use my last slide. So ashwagandha is a family called Withania somnifera. And what is the standardized dose? The standard dose advised is between 1.5 to 6 grams a day, depending on your medical condition, to what extent you need. In general, 1.5 to 6 grams. And it's okay for preventive use, and partly because it has no side effects. If at all anything, it's heads you win, tails you don't lose. So that's the kind of thing. And I'm pretty much done. If there are some questions, I'll be happy to take.
Wow, thank you so much, Madhur. Maybe you can stop your screen sharing quickly here. And all I can say personally, listening to Madhur, is thank God I've been taking Ashwagandha for the last 2.5 years personally, because I've been taking it religiously every single day. But I was not aware of 90% of these benefits that you just mentioned. So this is really beautiful. We have quite a few questions here on Zoom. By the way, this webinar got filled up, and there may be a few people who could not get on it today. It's streamed on YouTube live. You'll be able to watch it on YouTube on Food and Life Pramila's YouTube channel after this call. But just to take a few questions here that we have got posted during the seminar is Dr. Oman Narayan is saying, can you elaborate a bit on what you said on Ashwagandha's role in immunity? Just a quick answer on that. We just got 2 minutes to go here, Madhur, but what would you say on that?
So Ashwagandha is excellent for boosting immunity. Now, these days everybody is worried about immunity. So it's a very good product to have. And it does this through various mechanisms. It just suppresses, basically Ashwagandha increases your immunity by reducing things that lower your immunity. It lowers the stress, it lowers the tension, it lowers the anxiety, it lowers the hormones which do that. By controlling them, automatically your body's natural immunity comes in play. And these days everyone is worried about it. So that's what I would say.
Okay, great. We have another question here. Actually, a couple of people have asked the same question, so I'll just put that together in one. They say that what is the best way to take Ashwagandha? This is asked by Vinay and Poonam Rantam. What is the best way to take Ashwagandha? How much do you personally take? I think you mentioned that, but what is the dosage you recommend? And what brand do you use personally?
Okay, now I'll just share the screen. See, I have another slide here. I've just kept it on this thing. See, before you say what you take, Ashwagandha is not Ashwagandha if anybody makes it. It's just lots of different things. In fact, an industry association said 60 to 70% of dietary supplements in India are fake. And that's because there is very little quality control. I have written some points that I worry about. It's whether you are getting the right species, whether the dosage is standard. And these are very complicated. It's not companies are cheats. It's just very difficult to do because it's a plant. It's a live plant growing at different place. Human beings are so different. A 40-year-old male will be so different, strong, weak. So in plants also those things are there, whether there was pesticide used or whether that plant was having fungus or mold. Lots and lots of testing needs to be done. And very, very few companies in India do it. So, there are probably 1 or 2 companies whose product will be safe to use. I personally use Nutrilite's Ashwagandha tablet, and I use a dose of 6 grams a day. I don't have any medical conditions for which I use. I just use it because it's healthy. And so that's that. I think that should answer your question.
Great. We'll take one final question here, Madhur, if you can stop the screen sharing as well. We have Rita Varma is asking about, can you take this with the pre-existing diabetic condition? And I guess we could just group that question together with some other questions as well. Basically, is there any medical condition or medical issue when you should avoid taking Ashwagandha?
Okay. Now I have got one more slide. I knew this is my duty to say it. There are certain type of people who should definitely avoid it. One is, I said, it stimulates your thyroid functioning. So anybody who has hyperthyroidism problem, not most common is hypo, that is inactive thyroid is the most common problem in India. There are few people who have excessive thyroid kind of thing. Those people should avoid because it's stimulating your thyroid. You don't want it stimulated even more. Second is, it's going to boost your immunity. So if you are having any immunosuppressants, who takes immunosuppressants? Typically people who have kidney replacement or somebody who has liver transplant. These people are given immunosuppressants to keep their immunity suppressed so that the new organ is not rejected by the body. Such people should not take it because this boosts your immunity. And third is, which is a very standard thing that everyone says, is for pregnant and nursing women, you avoid. Now, whether you want to use it, check with your doctor. If your doctor says it's okay, use it. But I, on my side, I will not say this because of obvious, medical reasons. And so I suppose that should answer the question. Whether should you take it in diabetes and a medical condition? I would prefer not to answer that directly here because it's such a medical consultation, and which is not fair to do it on this. So I hope I answered part of that question at least.
Yeah, I mean, one question that came up here, many people asked again, I could see some people asking it, is with people who have high BP, which would basically be 35 to 40% of the Indian adult population and Swedish adult population as well. Basically, people have high BP and they walk around with high blood pressure without even knowing it. So can they take ashwagandha?
See, when you say high BP, there are so many variations, slightly high, huge amount of problem. I would say check with a proper Ayurvedic doctor if you're going to take it with that. Ashwagandha gives you energy, gives you vigor. In general, it should be safe, but let me not take responsibility for it because everybody's high blood pressure has a different thing. It also depends on whether you're taking your medications, the conventional medications, or whether you're taking Ayurvedic medication. So I'll probably, play it safe and say check with your doctor.
And finally, as we close, Madhur, what is like the biggest benefit personally in ashwagandha for you? Because you're taking it for several years, I'm taking it for 2.5, 3 years myself. What is like the number one benefit for you personally?
It's a very good product for energy, but I will say personally, the biggest benefit in my house is my mother and aunt who are plus more than 80. For them, it's a close your eyes and give. My sister is an Ayurvedic doctor and she has said, Madhur, whether you take it or not, it's your lookout, but your mom should take and aunt should take. And I think as a family, it has helped us stay very healthy. Now, I can't say if I wouldn't have taken, what would have happened to me? And I'm an athlete. I do gymming at least before COVID. So for me, this is a good, safe stimulant. I don't need to take any funny stuff. It has helped me. How much it has helped, I'm not going to do experiment on my body, but I found it quite useful as a product. And obviously I've not heard, I've given it to lots and lots and lots of people, and I've not had anyone complaining of any side effects yet because it doesn't have any. It's a very simple, neutral, natural product. It's a beautiful drug, beautiful herb to have.
Wow. Thank you so much, Madhur. We have a lot of questions still here on the Zoom call, but we will close this session now. And great having you on, Madhur. Much appreciated that you could set aside some